guys, welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Van Chats. I'm here with he was my riding buddy at MidSouth. We both hit a wall of pure mud and peanut butter grit, and it's Ruben Bacon. Yeah, his parents have named him after a sandwich and gave him the last name of Bacon, which is a sandwich topping. Actually, what did they name you after? Have you ever asked? Family name?
So no, I mean they just thought it was a cool name. Like they're like, yeah, Ruben's a cool name, and I don't think that they necessarily thought about it like beforehand.
Yeah.
But they always just like dug the name Ruben, and so it was like, I think I was either gonna be my name or my sister's name if I was a girl, and I'm a dude, and so it's Ruben,
So
and
it's
yeah, that's
Ruben.
the way it goes. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, and so I met Ruben. We were out at MidSouth, and pretty much my bike wasn't shifting, and we rode together for as long as we could until we hit some faster sections, and Ruben could just ride away because his bike could still shift. Electronic versus cable pull for sure. But yeah, man, let's kind of dive in to what you're doing. So you're at college right now. You're at Milligan. I was supposed to go to Milligan, which I'll dive into here in a bit. But yeah, how's that going? What's the college life like right now due to COVID?
Oh, dude, it's crazy. It's kind of next level. So the most recent thing in the college life was that I had a teammate that tested positive about 3 weeks ago. So we all got quarantined for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And some of those that couldn't go home had to stay on campus. I went home and got tested negative. But so we have just now come out of quarantine. The whole team has.
Which is kind of nuts. So they allowed you to leave.
Yeah, so they did. It's so the choices where you could stay on campus in this room that you all see, like in this room, I could stay here for 2 weeks and not leave and have food delivered to the door, or I could go home. Those were my two options. I was like, bro, I'm going home. Like, there's no way I'm staying here.
Which is nuts because like you would think from like a CDC standpoint, they'd be like, stay in the room.
Yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so thank goodness I was able to go home. And so I spent 2 weeks at home, and I was able to ride and stay socially distant and all that stuff. And now we're back here doing the thing. But yeah, I mean, classes are weird. Like, you'll have different people drop out every couple of weeks because they were exposed or something like that.
Really?
Zoom classes going on all the time. And thankfully we are able to have in-person class. But it's very weird, masks on all the time, everyone's distanced. The professor sits behind like this plexiglass, like lecture podium thing. Yeah. It's like, Whoa. it's kind of spacey. But
yeah. How long do you graduate soon? Or?
Yeah. So I'm a senior right now. I'm going to graduate in May.
Man, that sucks. And the reason why I say that is because like you're never gonna know what it actually, you know what I mean? Like the graduation side of things.
That's funny you say that because like a lot of people are like, oh man, aren't you like sad about missing graduation or whatever? And like, so I race, right? Like I'm on the Milligan cycling team, and for the past 4 years, I've thought about, okay, I'm not going to go to graduation because collegiate nationals is always over the graduation week.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have graduated anyway. So now I'm just like, okay, well, I guess it's still happening the way it was going to for me, which is kind of whack, but oh well.
It's funny you say that. So like at Mars Hill, we're more like, which I thought we would have been the same, but we were more sports driven school.
Right.
And they always had our graduation the week before because of our because of collegiate nationals. And so they would always do it the week before. But yeah, I graduated from Mars Hill, and I was actually talking to Zach.
No way.
About master's programs.
Dude,
for a while. And I was so over school, man. Like I feel like if I do it again, I feel like college was a dumb idea on my end. But then it was the smartest idea. Does that make sense?
Dude, no, I feel that. I feel like it's like right now, okay, I'm like, okay, when I graduate in May, I'll have spent like over 3/4 of my life in school.
What do you study?
I'm a double major in exercise science. I'm coaching and sports management.
Okay.
And actually I'm doing an internship, just side note, internship with CTS right now. Just so you know.
In Brevard?
Yeah, Brevard, yeah. I'm working with Kristen.
Oh,
so,
okay,
anyway.
cool.
Yeah, so just a random side note. But anyway, so I'm doing that thing. But yeah, I mean, double major in exercise science, and it's a good time, pretty much.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah. And yeah, so like when you graduate, what are you planning on doing? Like, do you kind of have an idea? Are you going to race full time? What's the deal?
So all right, so that kind of gets it into the whole van life thing. So if anyone follows my Instagram or anything like that, I spent the whole summer doing this humongous summer project that was going to be like this car thing. Like I was going to live out of a Volvo. And my plan, the ultimate plan, we can get to that later, but the ultimate plan is to live in a van and coach people. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Is like literally just live wherever, have like a hot spot and coach people and,
right on.
Do the deal. So anyway, hence the exercise science, sports management major. And also hence why coffee and band chats worked out.
Yeah. No, this is awesome. So let's dive into the Volvo. Cause what's it like right now? I mean, I remember when I first saw it, like you even turned down a podcast with me from the get-go, and you probably don't even remember.
Dude, no, I do. I do remember
it
that.
Wasn't ready. It wasn't ready.
It wasn't. That was the thing. So so you wanted to get together and you wanted to talk, and I was like, bro, I need give me another month. Okay. I'm because at that point I was so deep in it. I was like in the middle of this insanely awesome build.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I just need a couple more weeks.
And you built it out by yourself.
Well, so, okay. All right. So full story, here we go. So
yeah, let's do it.
We started out. And so the goal is I want to live in a van, right? Cheapest way to live in a van in my eyes is to live in a car first, because you got to save money to buy a van. Right. So might as well just start out with a car. And the cheapest car I could find was a 1996 Volvo 850 station wagon for $1 in Boyle County, Kentucky.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I knew a dude that knew a dude, and he sold me this car for $1.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, heck yeah. We're making profit off the get go. Let's
I already know the title of this podcast is that you build for $1.
Heck awesome. Yeah, dude. All right. So anyway, so I get this car, and man, it is an absolute piece. Smells like, mouse pee on the inside of it, cobwebs everywhere, just disgusting. But it was $1. I'm like, let's party, let's do this.
And it worked?
It worked. I started up, cranked the key, worked right off the
Okay.
bat.
Wow.
Put a battery in it, was good to go. So drove it home, and literally, basically it was kind of, it's kind of rough because this was the week before MidSouth. So I bought it, drove it home, and then took my dad's Honda Fit and drove it up to Indy, and then got the Bissell team car and drove it out to Stillwater. So I kind of just dropped it on my dad for a week.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I get back, and my dad has spent the whole week hosing out the back of it and shot vacuuming the whole thing, cleaning the whole thing. And I get back, and it's this pristine, or in my eyes, pristine Volvo. Still kind of smells like rat pee, but whatever.
That's awesome.
And so I'm like, all right, cool. So now let's make a plan. So I make this plan for, okay, it's got to have a drawer. It's got to have a spot for me to sleep. It's got to have, a little shelf to put stuff on. The back's got to be able to sit up, you had to tick off some stuff.
Yeah. Basic stuff.
Right. Yeah. The basic stuff. And the cool thing about a Volvo station wagon that I found out is that the back of it is 6.5 feet from the back of the passenger seat to the back door. So I could lay out in it all the way, and it was going to be fine. So I was like, all right, tight, we're good. We're set. So anyway, so we got to building this thing. I guess this would be in May is when we started April, the later part of April and beginning of May is when we really started getting into it. And Dad, his trade is he used to be a contractor before his job now. So he's got all the tools really handy with his hands. Honestly, thank goodness for him, because I couldn't have done it without him. So we kind of built together this box and a shelf and a headboard is what we call it. So, a spot that spans the back of the passenger, the back seat to the back of the passenger seat. Got it all worked out, worked great. And I was stoked on it. And so you texted me right as we were finishing the box, and I knew that we still had a couple more things to do. I was like, all right, we hold on. I'm going to I want to get it done and then take a trip in it.
And see what it's like.
We'll be good to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get it all done, pack it up, rock down to school. I've got 4 bikes and a canoe on top. I've got the back of it completely packed. Yeah. When I ride down here to school, I do a ton of stuff other than cycling. I fish and climb.
Yeah, we see that. If you're watching,
right? Yeah, so
you can see the poles in the back.
So so fly rods, and then that's a rock climbing backpack and camelback, whatever. Anyway, so I've got the stuff, right. So I pack it completely full, and it does have some overheating issues. Okay, and I knew this going in. And coming down to campus, there are a lot of mountains and whatever. So it overheated a couple times coming down, but that's whatever. You let it overheat and then let it go in neutral down the hill, and it's going to be okay. Just keep on rolling. You got a gallon of water just in case, type of thing.
Yeah.
So I get to school, everything's cool, getting unpacked, and the first weekend I'm back to school, I'm like, all right, I got to take it on a trip. That way I can get with Croom. We can get on this podcast. It's going to be sick. So I pack it up, and I got all the stuff in it. We're going, and I'm like, I got this route plan that does all these sick gravel roads down here in Tennessee, and we're going to camp at this overlook, and it's just going to be the most epic thing ever.
Yeah.
And I get on the first gravel road, going up the first hill, and it overheats pretty bad, a couple times. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's whatever. I expected that. That's cool. So I just when you're in a car that's a piece of junk, you're like, okay, it's fine. So you just stop, pull out the drawer, make a cup of coffee, do whatever. And so we got rolling along, overheating stopped. We kept on rolling. And then, some lights started to pop up on the dashboard. And I was like, okay, I haven't seen those lights before. Like this is new. All right. So, stop, check it out, see what's going on. I bend down under the car to see if there's like anything dragging or whatever. I don't really know why, but just to see. And I just see like this little oil stream just spewing straight down.
Oh, man.
Like dripping straight out. And if anyone who knows anything about Volvos, like they've got to have oil to run. Like if they are not completely soaked in oil, they are going to be trashed soon.
Yeah.
And I was like, crap. Okay, that's not good. Like I need to get down off the mountain, like need to get back to civilization. And so I started ripping back to civilization, and then I got a flat tire. So we're cruising. I'm dripping oil, smoke's flying everywhere, and then I hear my tire go, and I look out the window, and I'm like, oh crap, okay, we got a flat front left. That's cool, whatever. And then about literally 2 miles later, the car finally is like, you know what, freaking screw this, and the whole thing just shuts down. I mean, like just shudders to a stop. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like I know where I am, and I know that there's no one around. And I pick up my phone, and it says 1 bar of LTE. And I was like, all right, time to give AAA a call. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see if they can get here. And so I called them. I'm like, all right, I'm on Forest Service Road 50, back behind Pond Mountain Wilderness. I'm in a white Volvo station wagon. Can you boys get a truck up here? And they said, yes, we can. So we'll be up there in about an hour. And I sat there, I made dinner, had a good time, his car's broken down. And then lo and behold, this humongous AAA like wrecker just comes rolling around the bend, like diesel and all stops. And he's like, he hops out and he goes, how far you been going up in here? He said, you've been dripping off for clear 10 miles that I've been following your old trail all the way up a hill.
Oh,
and anyway,
man.
he ended up being the coolest dude, man. We rode back. His name's Joe. And we ended up riding back all the way to campus. And then the car sat at Milligan Auto for a couple weeks. Found out that it was a busted oil pan. It was going to cost $1,100 to fix. And so then I just had it towed home. And she is now back to the original owner, who has 20 more of those cars, and he's going to replace everything. And now that I cleaned out the inside and he's got a spot to live, he's going to like use this kind of like his like adventure vehicle, I guess. But yeah, that's like the full story of the Volvo.
Wait, so he's just going to fix it up?
Yeah.
And so you're done with it?
Yeah, so the deal was at the beginning. So like he sold it to me for $1, right? He was like, okay, but here's the deal though. He said, so I'm going to sell this to you for $1. You can use it. He said, you can run it into the ground. He said, I don't care what you do with it. He said, but your only rule is you cannot sell it. He said, that's the only deal. He said, I'm going to transfer the title to you and all that stuff. He said, just don't sell it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I can do that. And you got to know this guy. His name's Bob. He literally has a 500-acre farm. And like on the farm, no joke, there are 20 of those Volvo station wagons, like the exact same. So like he just like took it back to his farm. He's gonna like switch out what he needs to switch out, and then since the inside's clean, he's gonna like drive it around his daily driver or whatever.
So what does that mean for you now, though, man?
So all right, I don't know. That's the thing. So like right now, so I had it all planned out. Right, I was gonna like live in a car, and I was gonna save money, and then like in a year and a half, I was gonna have money enough for a van. I was gonna get the van, then I was gonna do the dream. And so now I'm like, I don't know. Like what do you do? Like when a plan that you've like you work super hard for and it's like super extensive and then just kind of like falls out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I don't know. That's a great question. Like, I honestly have no clue what I'm going to do.
Oh man. Like,
but
you should
right now I've got a Honda Fit in a tent. So like that might work out.
Well, you could even build out a Honda Fit. Like they have so many like Honda Fit build outs that you could do. Contravans, guys that sponsor this podcast. Like, I think they even do some things out of the back of Honda Fits, or like I know they do stuff. They like to have fun, so that's definitely like a company you might want to talk to later on down the road. But
heck yeah, and also like low-key Honda Fit is like a straight up. I've done some stuff in my Honda Fit that like I'd be low-key scared to tell my parents. Like,
oh yeah, I mean it's
the Honda Fit can go.
It can go. It can move, and because like I don't know if you see my van, but I have that like the small ProMaster City,
right?
And what's awesome about it is like I can parallel park it, right? In New York,
which is
and not stress too much. Like I did a podcast in the middle of downtown Nashville, and parallel parked in the back of that van. Like it works fine, and so I like that size. I like that vibe. But yeah, dude, let's get to know you a little bit more too. Like, so you seem like this really nice Southern dude.
Thank you.
Like good old boy is what I'm vibing with. I'm from Rock Hill, South Carolina. So like, I know a good old boy when I see one, like one that's making dinner after his car breaks down. He's just like, I've never had a bad day in my life. Like there used to be this guy at the bike shop, whenever he would come in, I'd be like, hey Dave, how are you doing? And he'd just be like, oh, I've never had a bad day in my life. Like you seem to have that mentality. So where does that come from, and how does it end you up on Bissell?
Yeah. So like low key, like positivity is kind of my thing. Like I'm about it. I'm like, I try and be like consciously positive, if you will, and like not in a bad way, just like in a way that's like it could be worse, like there's always a worse situation
for sure.
But yeah, to get me on Bissell, so I guess if you want to start like back junior years,
go
like,
for it, man.
Yeah. So like junior years grew up. I started racing when I was like 11 and started out on the McDonald's junior development team. Super hype team, had the golden arches. I'm loving it. Like, the whole deal looks super sick.
Fits your
Rode
vibe?
On that team. Oh yeah, totally. Like we got free Big Macs, like rolled through the drive-through, like it was tight. So I was on that team till I was like 15, and then I switched teams to the competition to Papa John's junior development team.
Oh man.
Yeah, big in the fast food. And after that happened, I did some guest racing for what at the time was Handcappy Holoesco up in Rimouski.
Yeah.
And also Stingray Trek Lacasse. They're like a small team out of Montreal. I raced up in Abitibi for Stingray Trek Lacasse, and then I raced Rimouski for at the time again Handcappy Holoesco. And then the next year after Papa John's, I moved over to Holoesco Citadel, who took me to Ireland and around the country, which was super fun. And then from there, Bissell, growing up kind of in Kentucky, I raced against the Bissell guys a lot. And growing up as a junior and kind of being in there, like duking it out with them, I guess they saw me as being kind of fit for the team. And so at the time I was a total roadie, like 100% roadie. And they were like, hey, come race with us. Like, we want you on our team. Let's race crits. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, crits are fun. I like crits. Let's do crits. So raced with them on the road for a year. And then, management was like, hey, we're going to do this new thing. It's called multi-surface. It's called, you're going to get a mountain bike and a gravel bike, and you're going to go race this race out in Oklahoma that was called Land Run. And so I got my bike that would have been 2019. I got it in a day before the 2019 Land Run. My first ride on it was a shakedown ride the day before, and then did my first 100-mile gravel race at Land Run and got completely hooked on multi-surface. And so that whole season I spent like racing all last year. I spent racing mountain, road, and gravel, and just loving life. And now we're kind of like this team that's like, let's do it. Like, let's do some cross, let's do some gravel, let's do some track, like throw it all in there. So
no, that's sick, man. Yeah, because like MidSouth was my first. I feel like that's a great first gravel race, guys. Dude, if you're listening, sure. And I'm trying to get Bobby on here. Bobby's actually in the middle of Arkansas right now.
Dude, he is sending it right now. It looks so sick.
It looks so epic, and it's one of those things that that's definitely on my bucket list. It's the high country. But yeah, like I just remember showing up at MidSouth, and there wasn't a bad attitude, dude, or a sly eye anywhere. Yeah,
it's such a vibe. Like you show up and everyone's stoked, everyone's happy. Like it's like, like if you show up to a crit, right? And like nothing to diss crits, like I'm all about a crit, but like you show up to a crit and like dudes be like looking at you sideways.
Yeah, that's because
like you bumped him in a corner at the last weekend or whatever, and I'm like,
but not
like,
even.
What's the deal?
Like people that don't even know you.
Yeah, just because you're somebody. Like they're like, you're you. But dude, at a gravel race, you show up and everyone's like, oh, yo, dude, what's going on? It's good to see you again. Like,
Yeah, and they don't even know you. That too.
Right.
Like I think that's the best part. Like it was funny. Velo News did an article because we showed up, and it was like half the Team Pursuit team, right? Mm-hmm. So like,
you and Lambie and
Danny Summerhill, and then I guess Gavin was there too. I mean, not Gavin, Grant.
Yeah.
Coons, who was like coming into the Team Pursuit at the time. They even misspelled my name, but I thought that was awesome because they called me Josh Croom in the Velo News article. But I thought it was awesome because it was just like, yeah, we're just here to ride gravel, man. Like that's all we really care about.
Right.
And it was a blast. I think it's definitely an event that I'm going to next year for sure. Yeah. So, with everything, with all these new events that you're, I guess, doing with Bissell, like, are you riding for Bissell next year?
As of now, like, I mean, I'm planning on it. I mean, I really dig the team and like kind of the direction they're going, and like, they support me really well. Like, honestly, like, they are very, very supportive, as far as everything goes, bikes, equipment, like even just personnel to be there to help. It's like, it's super huge.
Yeah. I mean, you guys were kind of treated. I mean, it was just you, I think, but.
Right. Yeah. It was supposed to be me and Raylan, but Raylan had to bail due to, I think she was like feeling a little bit under the weather or whatever and didn't want to like, because honestly, that race though, like was so crazy because like that was kind of on the verge of everything. So everyone was like a little bit cautious. So I think she was like, let's just hold on for just a second.
Well, it's funny, man. And I will hold this argument until I die. Like everybody was giving those sponsors a hard time for being there. My thing is, at that race, it felt like we were on another planet. Dude, it felt like the world around us is coming down, breaking down in shambles. We didn't understand what was going on around us.
We were just up there just like, let's go.
Yeah, and it wasn't like the frat parties that you're seeing or the parties or the simple, I'm just going to say it, the simple fuck yous that you're seeing with like people not wearing masks. Like we legit, like we showed up.
We didn't know.
Yeah, we showed up. We heard that this thing might be serious.
Yeah.
And I thought it was ridiculous that people wouldn't even shake my hand. Like, and I was just like, oh, okay. But now, like, we play that card now, like, or just like, keep your distance. It's a completely different vibe, man. And so I just don't even know where to start from that.
Yeah. I mean, I remember so I vividly remember, like, where were you when COVID was announced or whatever?
Yeah.
And like, I straight remember like the day I was out there and Bissell sends me an email. I get the Bissell email first and they're like, hey, okay, so besides Ruben out at MidSouth, everyone else is postponed. Like, do not do anything. Like, this is a big deal. And then like a couple hours later, I get an email from school saying, hey, we're postponed. Spring break's postponed a week. Everybody don't show back up to campus. And like, we're all kind of like sitting there in the SRAM house, like, okay, like, I guess this is going down or whatever. And then the next day, Bobby shows up at the start line. He's like, guys, it's like, this is the happiest place on earth right now. Like just getting us like all super stoked, like raining, super. Yeah, dude, it was absolutely pouring down rain. Everything was muddy. We knew it was about to be just a brutal 100 miles. And he was like, this is the happiest place on earth. You all rock. I love you. And then just like pulled the cannon and we all went off. It was the best thing ever.
And it was amazing. And nothing, luckily, nothing bad came of it.
Right.
No one got sick. Right. And I think everybody now knows like how serious it was. Like, I literally think that like our heads were just in different places. I mean, I think the world went on a shutdown. The race was on the 17th, right? Or the 16th.
And the world went on the shutdown on the 18th.
Yeah, and the world shut down the day after.
The literal day after.
The day after the world shut down. And I think on the 16th or 15th, it was like pre that SRAM ride.
Right.
And somebody made a comment. It was like, dude, I'm hearing word that they're going to go into martial law. Like they're going to give us curfews. Right. They're going to do this. They're going to like close restaurants. It's like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like, not possible.
Happen. Yeah.
Sure enough. Next day, boom, shut down. Couldn't do anything. And and like we like driving home, like trying to get into gas stations, like, cause people couldn't really figure out like, should we be closed or should we be open still? It was wild, man. So
we straight up rolled back from Stillwater. Like I was with Declan and a couple of the Zip guys, and like we just like straight shot, like stop for gas, and like maybe a meal, maybe. Yeah.
Which had to be scary for guys like that. I mean, cause like like jobs. I mean, luckily, I mean for you, it's like, college is important.
Right. But like people have a lot of money in a job, like that's like their livelihood.
No, but like there's gonna be some memories that you're gonna miss out on because of this thing. I don't think graduation will ever be the same.
Oh no. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It's like a shift in what's normal.
Yeah, and I don't think spring break will ever be the same.
No,
I don't think snow days will ever be the same, because they're becoming to a point where it's like, oh, we'll just go online.
Right.
Like if it snows, you'll just go online. Like
you'll just go online for a day.
Online for a day. And then with spring break, I heard some schools aren't even doing like breaks.
No, dude. So that's another thing about school that I didn't mention is like, it's straight up nose to the grindstone right now in school. Like, so this semester we started late, we're ending early, and we don't have a fall break, and we're fitting the same amount of stuff into that time. And we're doing the same thing next semester. Like when we show up here, it's like go, 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 go.
Just nuts, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
but yeah,
I feel like that's the depressing part of this podcast. Now let's move on.
Yeah.
to some
No, we can get rid of that. That's
more
gone.
exciting things about this podcast.
Right.
So I want you to give me the craziest story that you've had at one of these bike races. So what was like MidSouth? Like I have a crazy story from MidSouth because like the only reason why I finished that race was partially you. The other
Thanks.
part of it was I'd run into the team pursuit guys, and we have this thing, and I don't know because have you ridden track?
No, I haven't. What's one discipline I've never done ever.
Okay, so in the team pursuit, you have to finish with 3.
Yeah.
And that you start with 4, you have to finish with 3. Well, the guy who drops off back usually yells 3.
Yeah.
And when he's yelling that, he's telling you that there's 3 people left.
Right.
If you hear 2, at that point you're fucked.
Right.
Like because that means you've dropped man 3. And so I remember seeing I saw Ashton, and Ashton had texted us and was like at mile 50, it was like 3.
Yeah.
And we're all in a group text, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So, I guess we got to keep going. Danny's riding the opposite direction. So after I've hit the first rest stop, got my bike all cleaned off, he's coming back the opposite direction on the road. And he looks at me and he goes, 2. Then I run into you. We hang out for a bit. And then I want to say we made it to mile 80, like that rest stop together.
Yeah. Yeah. The Oasis there.
Yeah. And that's where I saw Grant. And at this point, I think Grant's like partially drunk because like that's where they're taking whiskey shots. And he's like, dude, 1. And that's the only reason why I finished was because I was like, well, we can't all just show up here and not do the thing. And it's my first gravel race. So like I did not want to finish. And that's the only reason why I finished. But do you have any like crazy stories like that from any of these gravel races or any of these adventures?
I mean, yeah. So like, plenty of like crazy stories. Just like inherently, just like gravel racing and adventure racing is just like one crazy story, right? Yeah. Like that's like what you're kind of low key in it for like that one thing that's like, oh my gosh, I'm actually still doing this. Like what the heck? There definitely MidSouth was like one of those like, okay, like I'm still doing this. Like we are still riding through mud, like still.
Yeah. I like to say it's the longest 100 miles I've ever done.
Oh, dude, hands down. Like I've done 100-mile mountain bike races. Like I did that race last year. I've done, I've done some pretty like long stuff, and like that is for sure the longest 100 miles I've ever been a part of. Yeah. Like that was insane. I did a pretty in like crazy bike packing trip over summer where I was just like kind of sending it, and then unfortunately some stuff happened that I couldn't help. But like I was doing the Sheltoe Trace, which is like a trail that goes from north south north in Kentucky, on my gravel bike, and just like it was the first time I'd like actually had to bail out of like an event or like something that I wanted to do, which was kind of weird. So that was like a crazy one just because like the way that it worked, because it's a mountain bike trail, but I was doing it on my gravel bike, and it was a good time, and then like just a bunch of stuff went wrong and I just had to bail for no good reason.
What happened?
That's not a very good story. But yeah, I would say, dude, I'd honestly say MidSouth, because like MidSouth is one of those times where like you've got this big story, and then there are a bunch of small little stories inside that. So like, for me, you had like the 3-2-1 story, but then for me, like I started out, and I mean, I don't know about you, but like I show up to a race to like try and pull the dub. Like that's like my goal, is to like if you show up to a race,
finish with the front group.
Right, finish with the front group. Like try and do well, but like try and like just really like smash it. And so,
which like I feel like on a dry day, a top 20 wouldn't have been a hard thing for me. I'm a big dude, and so like it gets difficult, but like I feel like a top 20 wouldn't be a hard thing for me to do.
Dude, I can tell you, like that course in the dry, different animal. Like completely different animal. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, you good. Because I guess more or less just like when I did that event, like I was with the front group, and it wasn't until we hit the single track that I lost connection, and that was all bike handling. But then after that, like my bike's now 80 pounds because we had barely been in the mud yet. Right. It was really after the single track when everything started to hit the fan.
Right, when it started to get tacky. Yeah, for sure. So so like in MidSouth, like you show up to win, like you show up to, or at least try and finish with the front group.
For sure.
And so we roll out, and like I'm the only Bissell dude there, so I'm like, okay, I kind of got to represent the team. Like let's do this, and which is totally cool. Like I like that pressure. Like that's why I like racing, is because like there's pressure with it. And
But
so we're out
those
there.
guys seem like cool dudes though. Like, because
Oh,
what
the
is
dudes
it?
that
Was
went.
it Bobby? No, like the guy that runs
Oh yeah, Bobby White.
Bissell. Yeah.
Or
And
Derek Whitty and Aaron
Derek.
Beebe. Yeah,
Derek.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know Aaron.
yeah.
I just know
It,
Derek and Declan.
yeah. So Declan's like the dude. Declan's cool. Declan's dude like gets us the stuff basically.
Yeah.
Like the reason that like this is a thing, right?
Shram's a thing. Yeah.
Right. And then Derek kind of oversees, like he's like the big umbrella, like oversees all management. And then
For
underneath
sure.
him is like Aaron, who does road stuff mainly. And then we've got a new like off-road gravel director whose name is Zach Andrews. And so he's done Dirty Kansas. He's done like the ride across, like the race across Michigan, like all the big stuff. He's like, he knows what's up basically. And so he's like, hey, here's what you need to do to be ready for these races. So anyway, yeah, so that's management on Bissell. But yeah, but like in MidSouth though, yeah, like you've got, like I said, you got all these little stories inside a big story. And like, for sure, like, you know, big thing, like why I was able to make it through, I think was seeing you. Cause like, that's a part of gravel racing. I think a lot of people don't understand is like, once you get like popped off, like, so you show up to win, but then like, once you get popped off, it's not over. Like you still got like 100 miles, like chill and like have fun. Right.
Yeah.
So like,
well, you also start to see people, cause you feel like complete shit. Like feel
garbage.
You feel like you're the worst human in the world.
Yes.
And then at that point you see somebody that you respect. And I know this sounds really cruddy, but
I know what you're about to say.
You're passing a ton of random people, but you see that one dude that you respect. Cause I remember the moment I saw you, I was like, oh, we're in this together. He feels like I feel, and it's okay.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, here we go. It's going to be all right. Like, I'm just going to chill here. Like, it's no big. We're just going to kind of hobnob. Like, it'll be okay. We're both doing the exact same crap. Like, this sucks. But yeah.
No, and I think the little stories is a good thing. So, what are some of like your little stories within that big story? Like, who else did you run into that you think kind of helped pull you through?
Yeah. So all right, flip back to last year. Last year has a lot of good little stories in it. Cause last year I was new to this whole thing. Like I had no clue what MidSouth was.
Was it the same course?
So, yeah, the same course. I think maybe there were a couple of variations, but like pretty similar, like pretty much the same thing. I couldn't really see for the first like quarter of it because of the, the mud and spray and stuff. But
for sure.
Anyway, so I was just kind of getting into like gravel and off road at the time. And so I was kind of like on Instagram, like following people and like, oh yeah, this dude's got a cool feed, like whatever, we'll check this out. And so I didn't really know who was who. And so I just kind of like showed up to like the Zip SRAM pre-ride. And, I was just chatting with people, like doing whatever, like, oh man, sick bike, like cool shoes, like, so kind of like hobnobbing, whatever. And even in the race, I was just like chatting with people, just like here and there, just like, oh yeah, where are you from? What you doing? How's it going? And all that stuff. And then I got back to campus and I started like looking through my Instagram feed of all these people I'd followed. And I was like, dang, that looks a lot like that dude that I was talking to. And then I was like, oh wait, that's in Stillwater. Like I was like, was I talking to the editor of Velo News? Like, was I talking to like Ultra Romance? Was I talking to Colin Strickland? Like, I just like, you get back and it's kind of like that surreal moment of like all these little stories all of a sudden make sense where you're like, oh crap. Like I was really like, cause I had no clue. I did not know that they were anything big. And I was literally just talking to them like they were nobody's business. I'm like, oh yeah, you're Colin Strickland. I'm like, oh dude, sick Allied. That's a cool bike. Nice paint scheme, or whatever. And it's like, he's got a Red Bull helmet on, like it's his paint scheme. Yeah. So anyway.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah. Like, I think, like my little stories are like running into the Team Pursuit guys.
Yeah.
I rode with Chaz for a little bit as well. And man, cool dude.
Yeah. He's super chill.
Got the opportunity to ride with Nico for just a little bit. Also another cool dude. And then I also rode with, at the end, we didn't talk. It was Amy, I think. Works for
Orange
SBT.
Seal? Or no, SBT.
Yeah. And she was in the box, but she was putting down a good time.
Yeah.
By the time I caught her, because she was ahead of me. And I caught her with like a few miles to go. But man, like it's crazy. Once you hit that last rest stop, you're like, oh, it's only 20 miles.
Right.
But in that mud, only 20 miles was another 2.5 hours.
And dude, you also have to do that creek crossing and all that other stuff too inside that. Ooh,
bro, it was pretty hefty.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But yeah, so I guess what's your goals for 2021 then, man? Like, do you like? Because I've talked to a few people, And like, some people are like, I'm going for DK 200. Some
Yeah.
people are like, I'm going for Worlds. Some people are like, I'm going to do this crazy bike packing race. What's your goal with Bissell for 2021?
So yeah, all of the
If
above.
everything comes
right,
well.
if everything like comes back to where it was, yeah, totally. So yeah, of course, I hope everything comes back. I love racing. But to answer your question, yeah, like all the above on that, like, dude, I dig it. Like I dig gravel racing and adventure racing like so much. So yes, like DK 200 for sure, because that's just sick.
Oh,
like
that's Unbound, by the way. Now I'm sorry, I forgot.
oh right, yeah. But so that for sure, like yes, that's awesome. If you ride 200 miles of gravel, you're a beast. MidSouth again for sure, because that's where it all started. That's like that's got a special spot in my heart. Like sure. I love Bobby, and I love what he does, and I love the people that he brings to the spot. Like it's just a good way to start off the season. Honestly, it might not happen next year, but I want to do the Continental Divide race, the Continental Divide Adventure race.
Yeah.
That looks like such a good time. Like
why wouldn't it happen for you? Is it just because the race won't happen itself, or?
Oh no, it's just because like I honestly don't know why it wouldn't happen. Like it's just logistics that just have to line up, and I haven't really spent time on it yet. It's kind of one of those things that like I've got finals to do before I get there, so sure. I gotta graduate first.
For sure.
But yeah, fingers crossed, right?
yeah.
But yeah, so that would be a fun one. But then also we do a race up in Michigan, Barry-Roubaix. That's always a highlight. And then I'd like to go back to do Lumberjack again. That's like a 100-mile mountain bike race in Michigan. We do the Bissell. We're like partially, Bissell's out of Michigan, so like a lot of our sponsors are from there. We do a lot of stuff up there in Michigan. So yeah, there are races like Lumberjack and Ore to Shore. And then also Coast to Coast, which is the 200-mile one that goes across the mitten. Like, a bunch of those races. Yeah, man, just like honestly, like 2020 is cool because like I feel like I've been able to use it a lot, but dang it, I really want to get back to racing. And when I do, I just want to like full send on it, like completely. Like let's absolutely party like every weekend. I mean, not like, you know what I mean? Let's race every weekend type of thing.
Yeah, I get you, man. Yeah, go out for the adventure. Exactly. Well, yeah, man. Exactly. So I don't know if I prepped you for this, but we do a segment on here. This is how we end every podcast.
All right.
Essentially, you have an opportunity to have one cup of coffee, whether that be a mocha, a frappuccino, however you want to call it. And some people's definition of coffee is different. Like I used to have friends in high school that would order, something from Starbucks that didn't even have coffee in it, and they called it coffee. Right. So it can be whatever you want. One drink, with one person, dead or alive, and why do you choose that person?
All right. So you did prep me for this, and I've thought about this.
Okay.
So the dude that I would pick would be Ryan Wilson. Okay. I don't know if you know who Ryan Wilson is or not.
No, explain.
But okay, so first off, I would take the coffee out of whatever he has on his bike. I think he carries an AeroPress, but it might just be a pour over. I'm not really for sure, but it's black coffee. It's nothing special.
Okay.
So there's a website out there called The Radivist. If you don't know about The Radivist, it's sick. It's like everything cool on bikes is on that website. It's awesome. I try and read it like at least, once every other day. But anyway, the guy that runs it, his name is John Watson. Okay. And Ryan Wilson is a guy that posts on The Radivist. I don't know his official full story, but I do know that he spent the better part of the last years on his bike, riding around the world. Not racing, but just doing adventure riding. He's currently in Tajikistan on the border of Afghanistan doing like this bike packing thing around like the Kyrgyz mountains.
Wow.
Every time I get on The Radivist, he like posts these sick shots and like has these super cool stories about like the locals over there and like, all the cool stuff that like they're into and how they interact and what he's doing. Also on his Instagram stories, like those are sick. But anyway, I would love to just sit down with him with a cup of coffee, whichever way he likes it, and just be like, dude, go. Like, tell me how you got here, why you're doing it, what gets you stoked about it, like your favorite spot, like everything. Like just start talking. And I would just like sit there and like drink my coffee and listen.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. I feel like that would be a guy that you could have coffee with, man.
Oh, dude, I'd freaking love to. Like and also like low key, I'd like to do it like if like in the Chilean mountains or something, or like in Kyrgyzstan, like in a spot like he's like
at.
Yeah,
like
exactly. I'd like to be with him.
Like you wouldn't
Yeah,
want to
exactly.
run into him. Kind of like I think Ted King ran into the guy that's like going the opposite direction. I think they like shared a cup of coffee or something, like kind of hung out for a little bit. And so yeah, that would be kind of neat, man. Now I'm literally gonna take this clip. I'm gonna send it to him and see what he says.
Dude, seriously, do it straight up. Ryan Wilson, bro, you're awesome.
Yeah. Right on. Well, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast tonight, man. And guys, if you guys want to check out Ruben's social media, go down to the link in the description below. Also, I'll put Bissell's down there as well, so you can follow his team and all the cool things that they're doing. Great people. They're kind of up north, and they got cool kits. They got cool bikes. We have baller kits. They have electronic shifting that doesn't break in the mud for MidSouth. So yeah, go give them a follow. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.